Welcome to the Would You Like a Cup of Tea podcast in connection with the event Would You Like a Cup of Tea, which is all about dismantling prejudice and helping to form healing and human connections within our hearts and minds by creating a safe space for diverse voices to be heard. The project is dedicated to fostering empathy and social change through sharing lived experiences, creating a connection with authenticity amongst others, and more importantly within ourselves. You will hear a variety of live podcasts that have taken place on the night, as well as from others who have come to share their stories at a later date, whilst also sharing their thoughts around the event. I hope you enjoy. Thanks for listening.
Tea time.
It is. That's burning. Right. Hello and wow. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the return of Would You Like a Cup of Tea, which is now going to be running for every 2 weeks from today until the 6th of August. Then we're going to have a break because I need one too, and it's summertime. Well, I hope so anyway. Yeah.
According to the calendar.
And then we will see what we do about coming back. Right, today's guest speaker is one of our table speakers called I Made It Through Darkness. So can you tell us your name?
Clover.
Thank you. And can you tell us why you titled your story I Made It Through Darkness?
I titled it that because when I reflect back on the last 15 years of my life, literally like the year I turned 30, I lost everything. Like I had nothing, no home, job, relationship, so many different things happened all at once before even my birthday, before I even turned 30 that year. Even down to my car breaking down, everything. And then I'm sat down thinking about what I have now. And I'm like, oh my God, I literally have had absolutely nothing. And now I've got a stable home. I'm not in a relationship, that's neither really here nor there. I'm happy by myself.
Yeah.
But got a nice car, good job, I run my own business. And it's wow, coming from that space to this now, just made me realise how much work I've done over the last 15 years to get to where I am.
Yeah. So turning 30 was literally a new start for you.
Yeah, definitely.
And I would say then that everything new that you did was like a gift for yourself for being 30. Would you agree?
Well, yeah and no, because it didn't happen overnight. Obviously, I'll be honest. I call my 30s a dodgy decade because it was very much like a learning curve. I went through a lot of twists and turns. I had a lot of difficult lessons to learn. A lot of reflection had to be done. Taking accountability for the choices that I've made that had led me to where I was. So many different things, and all the steps that I had to take to get to where I am now. But just to a certain degree, you just I don't want to say existing, but you go on autopilot. Oh, I've got to do this and I've got to do that, and you do a lot of things without thinking about what it is you're doing. You just go along to get along. But when you actually stop and take the time to reflect on what you've done and where you've been and what you've achieved, that's when you realise, oh wow, I've done a lot.
Yeah.
I've gone far.
So what has been your biggest lesson?
Self-love. Yeah, definitely self-love. Realising that I am worthy or I am more capable. Like self-confidence, like people that have known me all my life would be like, oh yeah, she's full of confidence, yeah, she's the loud one. It's bravado, isn't it? It's covering up all the insecurities, not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy. Because to a certain degree, I didn't really fit in when I was growing up. So, it's always, oh, that's not for me, that's for somebody else. Right, so realising I do deserve to be successful, I do deserve to be stable, I do deserve to be happy. That's not for other people. I am other people, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes complete sense. And I feel like this whole fitting in thing is another societal norm, so to speak. Like, we strive, especially, well, I say we, but like I feel like people who have experienced a lot of trauma, like that is something that I did. But everywhere I went, I wanted to fit in somewhere. I wanted to do the, and it's like, well, actually, I'm like more like a chameleon, and I can fit in into so many different spaces that actually I need to remember the one space I do belong is to myself. So, what do you think about that?
100%. I've literally had that conversation with people so many different times. Like, and I call it like being a social chameleon, right? And when you're actually sensitive to your environment, but you don't feel like you fit in, you tend to sort of try on different personality traits and things just to fit in. Oh, I'll try to be like that. Oh, no, that doesn't feel right. Or I try to be like that and it doesn't feel right. And like you said, it's finding yourself in amongst all of that.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to be on your own to figure that out.
Yeah.
Well, not sometimes, all the time. You have to be on your own to figure that out because you're so what's the word I'm looking for? You're so wrapped up in everybody else and distracted by everybody else that you don't have the time to sort of figure out who you are whilst you're trying on all these different personality traits to fit in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So, and I like to say that I didn't find myself, I created myself. Because for me, there was never a me that I knew of beforehand that existed without any trauma.
Yeah, that's because the trauma or the environment that was created in was familiar to you. So once you come out of that situation or you're not around those people, places, things that remind you or keep triggering those things are taken away, then you're like, well, that's unfamiliar territory because now you get to be at peace without the triggers, without the distractions, because even doing a job you don't like is a distraction from discovering yourself or doing what you want to do, what you like to do instead of what you're expected to do, what you're pushed to do, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's about, that's why they say step out of your comfort zone. That's where the good stuff is.
Even that sometimes is debatable, but drink some tea. So, what would you say life is like for you now?
It's a lot more calm. I wouldn't say it's necessarily peaceful. Life is life, really, isn't it? But it's a lot more calm. I'm a lot more focused on what it is I want to achieve, and I'm more able to take the necessary steps to achieve that. And I'm a lot more able to say no and do the things that make me happy rather than trying to make other people happy to try and fit in. And being my own boss kind of helps. Can't call in sick though, that's the only drawback. Right? Yeah. But instead of trying to fit in with everybody else and do what what other people expect me to do to fit in to the norm, I'm more comfortable with saying no and more at peace with just doing what I want to do without being selfish.
Yeah. So, and I think that's another thing, isn't it? When you've experienced trauma, learning to think about yourself often feels like you are being selfish, even though you're actually not. How did you manage so that we all say when you're like us, saying no comes with guilt.
Oh.
Sorry.
No, but it does, yeah.
If you don't want to answer this question,
No, I
it's
do,
fine.
I do.
Okay. So how did you manage that process, and how would you advise other people to do it?
It's a step-by-step process. It takes practice, right? So start with the small things. One of the things that I still find myself doing it, so it's a work in progress, is stop explaining yourself. That's one of the things that we tend to do when we feel guilty. No, I can't do that because stop. Like, you said no because either you don't want to do it or you can't do it. Because that's another thing, you'll overstretch yourself, right? Just to stop explaining. I'm unavailable. Yeah?
Sorry to cut your flow. But isn't that also like explaining yourself? Would that not be considered common courtesy?
To a certain degree, yes. It depends what you're being asked to do. It depends what you're saying no to, right? You're not always obliged to give an explanation, right? So, say for argument's sake, your boss says, "Oh, can you do an extra shift?" And you feel, "Oh, well, nobody else can do it. I better do it." But you'll say no and say, "Oh, well, I can't do this because I can't do that." And none of their business.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But if it's a friend of yours asking, but you know they're taking advantage, say, "Sorry, I'm unavailable, I've got other plans." That's as much explanation as it needs. You don't have to, you can be courteous without being rude or disrespectful. Like, it's an art form you have to learn.
And so, as naturally comes with any kind of growth or change or formation, you lose people along the way. How have you managed that part?
I quite like my own company, so that is not. But I've found, and it was very difficult in the beginning, when you fall out of frequency with people, because it's a frequency thing. If you're not in alignment with people, you're not going to be around them. They're not going to be comfortable around you. You're not going to be comfortable around them for numerous different reasons. And it took me a long time to figure this out. In my journey, that sometimes people, you fall out of frequency with them, they've got their things to do, you've got your things to do, and then you find your way back to each other. Other people, they've played their part in your life, and they'll just be gone, because they were there for a reason, you've reflected, you've learned that lesson, and off they go. I've come to accept it a lot. It's a lot easier now. I don't take it personally. I think that's one of the more difficult things, I think, in the beginning, when that starts to happen, when you lose people, like, you take it personally. Oh, did I do something wrong? Don't they like me anymore? And you'll start overthinking about something you said 10 years ago, and like, oh, did that bother them? Are they still worried about that? It's not that. It's just that you're not in alignment anymore. So it's time for you to go your separate ways. At that time, it's more about acceptance, I find, but instead of taking it personally. It takes a long time to get to that bit, though.
So, since you've been healed, is there anything that you've not yet done that you have planned to do?
Well, become a millionaire. That's a work in progress. We'll put a pin in that on the road. No, because healing's an ongoing journey, isn't it, really? Anything that needs to be done will be brought to the surface, right? So, I mean, I'm pretty sure that all the things that I thought were dealt with that are in the box under the bed at the back of the, will get brought out when they need to. I try to keep an open mind as to what gets triggered. Yeah. So I don't feel like I haven't achieved anything as of yet, because if I'm honest, I haven't. I was trying to think of the right way to say it. I haven't necessarily set myself a specific goal. I call it checkpoint destinations, right? So I want to be in this space by this time next year, right? And I always say to the kids, this time next year, everything will be different. Just you wait and see. And then it is, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, look, it came true.
Yeah.
But like, healing is a journey. It's not a destination, right? So what comes up, comes out, and gets dealt with, I suppose. So, not yet. I haven't set that line. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense, but I would say that you're happy where you are, like you've achieved your space where you're at now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions? I'm back.
So your story is very inspirational.
Oh, thank you.
Just have you got any tips on how to get out? You know, when somebody's in a very dark place, what kind of tips can you offer that person? What did you do to get yourself out of that dark place?
Hope. Sorry. I always had hope that things would get better, and I'll be honest, I used to pray, please God, take me out of this dark space. You know, this can't be where I'm supposed to be. I know that there's something more for me to do. And now when I reflect, which is, 2020 vision, hindsight, I can see that everything I experienced was to help me grow. It didn't happen to me, it happened for me. I became a student of my life, right? Instead of a victim. I survived what I experienced so I could, pass that on to others. And that's a big part of the reason why I do share my story and do what I do, so that people have hope that things can get better, that it's not always going to be that dark. Everything is temporary. So, and if you've got no hope, you haven't got anything. You've got to know that tomorrow is going to be a different day. It's another chance to do something better, It's not always going to rain. Well, unless you live in Britain.
Hello. Thank you.
Thank you.
First thing. So my question is, what is your business? Do you have information on that? So how can we follow you? How can we support you?
So I do cleaning. I run a domestic cleaning. So that doesn't really mean following. Well, I haven't actually. I keep getting told I better get on Instagram. But I also do tarot readings. I call it like spiritual guidance, because it is really, that's what people are looking for, when they do readings. I do need to get back onto recording. I do collective updates, and I do personal readings as well, but that's what I do to give back, like to help others, to give them some insight into what they're experiencing, so they can look at things from a different perspective. With the cleaning business, I don't want to say I fell into it by accident, but I was cleaning self-employed, and the person that I was getting work through just sort of was like, he earned too much tax or something, and pays it. It's like, oh, do you want your own franchise? Your customers love you. And I was like, oh, never even thought about that. I was like, okay then, so it just sort of happened, and here I am. So, it's. I would say, I can put my feet up and retire to Spain anytime soon. But I'm comfortable and I do all right. So, but I will be going back online next week, so you can support me on Facebook and on YouTube.
She said that last time I spoke to her.
I told you to keep on at me.
I will.
Okay.
I message you every day.
Do it later.
Any other questions?
No.
It's just
Are you originally from Reading because your face looks really familiar?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yes, I saw you here and I thought, I recognise, you know when you feel
Recognise.
like you've met someone
Yeah.
before?
Are you not from Reading?
I am from Reading,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I know you should never ask a lady her age, but how old are you?
The whole world's going to know how old
Yeah,
They can't see you.
This is
They can't see.
This is being
They
recorded.
can't see you. They can only see us.
Let's just end it there.
No, I was only asking
No, I
because
know.
like we could be the same age, though.
And like, I feel like as well, sometimes people having familiar faces also doesn't necessarily mean you know them. I had this experience yesterday, and my friend took me out for lunch, and there was this girl in the place that we were in, and even now I'm certain I know who she is, but I don't actually know her.
Ah,
I
but
think it's energy.
yeah, I
Yeah.
was literally going to say that.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you recognise people because they're part of like your soul group, right? Depending on where you're in your spiritual, journey, you have soul groups that you move around, right? So you know those dreams. It was you, but it wasn't you. But I know it was you. That's you, like sort of remembering a past life with that person. So it could just be a case of like we're part of the soul group, and that's where the recognition comes from. So I get that a lot as well, like with people. I know you.
Crazy. But yeah, and any other questions for this? No? Right, great. Thank you very much. Enjoy your tea and enjoy your table partners.
Thank you for watching the Would You Like a Cup of Tea podcast, brought to you by My Voice in Power, Clouds of Misjudgment, and Reading Biscuit Factory.